Diversity Committee meeting could come to order, please. Are there any public speakers?
None.
First time today. In that case, may I ask for an approval to second? Minutes are approved for December 12th. The work plan, is there a change in the work plan?
Yes, Madam Chair, there's one change in the work plan. We were going to present to you the EEO policy statements for 2019, but there's only one statement in this book. The other two statements, the ADA and sexual harassment prevention policy statements, they're under review, so we will present them in May. In May? Yeah, that's the next meeting.
Okay. I move this change. Is there a second? Say yes. Those in favor? Aye. Okay. Can you take us through do you have any?
Yes, I just wanted to recognize Naeem Din. This is his last meeting. And as they say that any effective sports team or organization, they have a great inside game and a great outside game. And Naeem was dedicated. He didn't wait for anybody to ask him to do something. When he saw the need, he was there. And he is going to be sorely missed, not only to DDCR, but to the MTA overall. And I just wanted to commend him for his hard work and his dedication and his efforts. Naeem Din.
Thank you very much. I thought I'd speak at the end, but can I just have 30 seconds? Thank you so much. Madam Chair, I really do want to thank you and the other distinguished members of this board for your tireless service on behalf of our state. You work for free. Well, we get paid. I want to thank my chief, who will always be my chief, for his tremendous energy and leadership and dedication that he brings to this committee and to this organization. Madam Chair, the scripture says that if the trumpet gave an uncertain sound, who shall prepare for battle? And Mike's is not an uncertain sound, but a clarion call for duty and action. I have not seen a greater champion. I don't believe there is a greater champion for inclusion and diversity, and that's a title that he's going to keep. I want to thank the excellent team we have at the DDCR, without whose great efforts this would not be possible. And I want to thank former members of DDCR who have gone on to positions of greater responsibility within our organization. Of course, I'm talking about folks sitting at the end of the table. Michael Fife, Sean Moore, Gwen Harleston, Joel Andrews, who I believe is not here, Chris Bennett, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting a few names, Rohan Jones, Kiana Rivers-Smith, there's Joel Andrews. So thank you all. The motto of our state is Excelsior, behind me. It's emblazoned on the state flag, so in my farewell to you, I say keep up the good work and Excelsior.
Your name, and thank you for your constant support of this committee and of each of its many chairs.
Yes, thank you, and two chairs are here today. And Mr. Frere, you have an incredible legacy of public service. Thank you. Shall we begin with diversity? Okay. So I know the hour is late, so we'll speed up if that's okay. That's fine. Okay. So it lists the events that we held. I want to point out, and also we list some of the events which are upcoming. Unfortunately, we have to be selective with some of the outreach events that we will be attending due to budgetary constraints. The events that I want to highlight is the Black and Puerto Rican Legislators Conference, the 40th annual conference, which was held in Albany, and where members of our staff attended. In this book, we also highlight the awards which are given as a result of our outreach efforts, and I just want to point out that Zenaida and her staff have put together a pretty lengthy report. The bottom line is that $533 million was awarded to MWDBEs and STVOBs in 2018 as a result of our outreach efforts. The next report is certification activity report. Just briefly, compared with the last 2 years, we have received more DBE certification applications in 2018. The number of firms which were certified has slightly declined, but I'm also happy to say that the number of applications that we return, that number has also declined. And we continue to experience a larger participation in our DBE certification bi-monthly workshops, and as a result of which we are seeing more firms applying for certification. EEO report.
Good afternoon. Regarding fourth quarter EEO activities, the overall workforce at the MTA is currently at 75,007 employees, of which 18% are women, 69% are minorities. There was an increase of minorities of 2% compared to the fourth quarter of 2017. There was a slight decrease of less than 1% of women in compared to fourth quarter of 2017. With regards to new hires, we hired 5,679 employees, and women and minorities were hired at a rate higher than their representation in the workforce. We handled 591 EEO complaints and 377 Title VI complaints. This concludes my report.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Continue. Okay. I'm here. Good afternoon, everybody. The full report could be seen on page 96. And, okay, I'm sorry. Want to go ahead? Okay, all right. On the recommendation of the committee, the diversity committee, we have reduced program year 9 to 5 months, which will align us with the MTA calendar year. And during program year 9, we had 12 projects that were awarded, totaling $20.1 million. And moving forward, the program year will be consistent with the calendar year, January to December, starting with program year 10, which we are currently in. As it pertains to our emerging contractors program, we have 56 firms that were pre-qualified. 23 of those firms have been satisfied and met their pre-qualification requirements and now have transitioned into Tier 1. And 13 projects were awarded, totaling $5.3 million. Thanks. Oops. Go, keep going. Oh. Next. Well, I will continue on. With our contract awards, since the inception, we have had 357 projects totaling $348.4 million in prime contracts that have been awarded. And in program year, that figure was reduced due to the conversion from program year to calendar year. Regarding our loan and bond program, currently we have 111 loans that have been approved, totaling $15.4 million. And with our surety bond assistance program, we have yielded $245 million in single and $462 million in aggregate security bonding, respectively, to our contractors. This concludes my executive summary.
Great. Yes. So we're going to talk about the agency strategies, and let me just state that on behalf of the MTA, our goal is to recruit and hire employees that's reflective of the service region that we service. In addition, to ensure that each and every employee has the ability to work in a harassment-free environment. And so we've been working with some of the agencies of coming up with some best practices with regard to the outreach and recruitment. And we have those top 10 strategies for improvement that are listed in the book, and I will not go over it verbatimly. But we are focusing on bringing all the agencies together to make sure that our commonalities are affixed to the outreach, the recruitment, and the retention of a diverse workforce. Chief, any?
Good afternoon. Well, increasing diversity in the ranks is an important priority to the MTA Police, not only at the entry level, but at all levels of the department. To that end, I've instructed my command staff to encourage all officers, particularly women and minorities, to take advantage of the internal opportunities available. In addition, we've reached out to the Guardians Association on numerous occasions and the New York Women in Law Enforcement Organization seeking assistance in recruiting and have received positive results.
Great. Any thoughts? What's next?
I once asked this question of a predecessor of yours some years ago.
Page 14. Right.
I know what the numbers look like. I read the report. You know, they haven't changed a lot in 8 years that I've been looking at them. What's the testing process, the application process, the entry process for officers in the MTA PD?
Well, Chairman, the test does attract thousands of applicants, and the test is given every other year. The process includes applying and taking the test. And then once the test scores are calculated, the pool of those passing that exam is actually given to Human Resources. And in that calculus of coming up with candidates for further processing, they then go to our applicant processing.
It's the calculus I want to get to. What is that?
That's a formula that's, I'm not quite familiar because it's out of the police department's hands as far as deciding what that calculus is. I would defer to Human Resources because we're given that.
HQ is Human Resources.
Yes, sir. We're given that pool after their analysis and results. So I can't tell you how the sausage is made, but what we get is an end result which goes through the applicant background processing.
I appreciate the candor of your answer, Madam Chair. Could we have the chef de cuisine of sausage come in at the next meeting and explain how that works?
I'm not sure who that is, but I'll endeavor to locate that individual. Actually, Freddie raised this question, I think it was in transit. Joel can correct me if I'm wrong. The confusion we have is partly related to how the availability number is arrived at. And I know you've gone through that with us more than once over my tenure here, but if you could do it again in the next meeting, that would be most helpful for us, because they do change.
And how they differ from title to title and category to category and job to job.
Part of our goal with diversity is to share success stories amongst agencies. You know, I heard some really good ones from Joel and Gwen today, and that's a good thing. Unfortunately, our day ran on a little long today, and we lost a number of our individuals as well as some of our presidents to other issues. But we'd still like a better understanding.
Okay.
As a matter of procedure, I have to leave in a couple of minutes. Do we have a vote we have to take on anything?
No, but I do want to bring to your attention that the agency goals are listed. I just went past that page. Do you have the page number?
Yes, the goals are located on page 14.
If you have any questions about them, please let us know, and you can do that offline, but I'd like to know what they might be before the board meeting, so Michael can answer them for you.
President Rinaldi, anything you want to?
And I guess I was the only one who didn't get the memo that the agency presidents didn't have to come to diversity, so I'm here. But
that wasn't a memo.
But in any event, we ran a little bit long this morning because of the PTC presentation, so I wanted to be here in case you had any questions. I can also give a very high-level summary, if you'd like, in terms of some of the hiring trends at Metro North, if that would be helpful for the committee.
I think we are okay. I thought it was good. My sadness, and I'm hoping that you do this in your own interactions, is that I'd like the different agencies to hear what they're doing, because I think there needs to be more cross-referencing to some of the successful programs. When you find something that works, it needs to be passed around. Yes, Ronnie.
If I could suggest, I schedule meetings with the agency presidents. It would be a perfect agenda item for them to talk and provide sort of the review of the diversity efforts. And we can do that. And any lessons learned, sharing information, we can bring back to the committee.
Because again, we've been doing this a couple of years now. In fact, President Rinaldi might recall a time when she had another position at MTA HQ, when we started requiring agency presidents to talk about this. And there was a reason for it. The reason is we know what you all are doing, sending out, going to high schools and colleges and job fairs. I don't think that's what we had in mind. When you see numbers that reflect a problem, the question is, these are the numbers, what are you doing about it? That's the right question to ask. But just a thought.
One of the other things that came up in the discussions of diversity through the different organizations was our need to see progress. I understand that the reports that we see are the reports that you're obligated to provide to state and federal agencies. But this agency needs to know whether or not we've shown improvement. Now, I've been here a rather long time, and I have definitely seen some improvements, and some things seem intractable to me. Even though I know you've reached out very hard to certain groups, those numbers aren't improving as much. But if we had a trend line, and you've got all the information, it's just that it's presented as this year's stuff, we'd like to see 5 or 10 years, like we do for the operating agencies. When we look back at 5 and 10 years ago, it's helpful for us to know whether something worked or didn't. So going forward, we'd like that from the operating agencies.
Okay, next is going to be the MWDBE, SDVOB inclusion numbers and percentages.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, we have a 30% goal for MWBE participation, and for the first 3 quarters of the current for the first 3 quarters of the state fiscal year, there was 16% participation in contracts awarded to MWBEs, and a 27% participation in payments made on ongoing contracts. Those 27% is the MWBE participation. We have a 6% SDVOB goal, and for the same period, first 3 quarters, there's a 4% participation in awards and 3% in payments made on ongoing contracts. For the federal fiscal year completed in September, 16% was achieved in overall DB participation in awards, and 16% also was achieved in payments made on ongoing contracts. However, I would like to point out that for contracts which were closed, the DB participation was 24%.
Is there a specific reason or reasons why the initial goal was not met?
There's a couple of reasons. One is that a lot of the projects that we're still monitoring are legacy projects when the goals were smaller. Prior to me getting here, there was a 15% MWBE goal, and in around 2011, 2012, the 20% goal was increased to 30%. So there are a lot of legacy contracts, and as they age out, those numbers would then rise. Also, there's been a number of projects which the goals were assigned at a lower rate because of the availability or the non-availability of MW and SDVOB firms in the marketplace.
Well, that was the question. That was the next question I was going to ask. Are our contractors, general contractors, for which these percentages apply, are you hearing that they're having difficulty in finding certified firms that meet the criteria?
Yes, in some cases, yes. When we award mega projects where there is equipment and the totals, that's one issue. But we are working with our major prime contractors to conduct MW, SDVOB outreach sessions. For example, on this Friday, we are having a MWDB outreach session in Yonkers for the new Croton Harmon $365 million contract that was awarded. And so we invite all of the MW and SDVOB firms in that region to come, and Skanska is going to be there, and Skanska is going to talk about where the opportunities are and how they can apply for those subcontract opportunities.
So it's not unusual at the moment for contractors to have difficulty in finding certified companies to meet the criteria.
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
Reasons that we started the small business mentoring program was to help small businesses and therefore help us. And that has proven to be fruitful, but we are in such a very specific business, and some of the needs we have are difficult to come by.
It's a lot easier to achieve MWBE goals in construction, on building construction, than it is with infrastructure construction.
This page lists some of the strategies that we employ for increasing participation of MWDB and SDVOBs. I will just point out that as of December 2018, the MWDB award participation in the small business program has been 70% MWBE and 57% DBE. So a large number of those contracts in the small business development program is awarded to these firms.
I would assume, if my recollections from conversations we've had before, that the goal is to start a company in that process in the hope that they will then move on to their own either subcontractor or contractor benefits themselves.
Yes, so when these firms graduate out of the small business mentoring program with access to capital, access to surety bonding, and the MTA experience to finish those projects safely, timely, and on budget, yes, so they will attract the attention of a lot of our primes for larger subcontract opportunities. Or on a previous page, one of our strategies was to get the agencies to create smaller packages. And those packages are between 3 and 15 million. And then the agencies are going out and actively recruiting those firms for prime contract opportunities.
Are we still providing bonding opportunities when that happens ourselves, or are they finding that themselves?
They are finding their own bonding, but they are benefiting from our surety bond program.
Okay.
So when they graduate, they're graduating with access to capital, access to surety bonding, and MTA experience of finishing smaller projects.
Okay, thank you.
Should I go to the next one? Next. Madam Chair, the rest of the page lists some of the other strategies. In the interest of time, if I can just go to the next slide. Okay. To continuing with our monitoring efforts, this slide just points out that there are over 1,750 contracts we're currently monitoring, and we have increased the number of visits made to project sites, 667 visits for 2018. And the 56 site visits per month exceeds our goal of 50 visits per month. And we have also closed 1,400 contracts. For legal fees?
Yes, so on the legal fees, when we first started monitoring the legal fees, in 2017, we were at 4%. In 2018, that number increased to, in 2017, that number increased to 8%. So we're currently at 14%. So we're gradually improving with respect to legal fees.
For capital projects, on the federal side, 18% is the goal, and 17% was the achievement in awards for the federal fiscal year, which ended last September, and 16% in payments on ongoing contracts. On the non-federal or state-funded capital projects, the goal for MBEs is 15%, and we achieved 15% on awards, and we achieved 12% in payments made to MBEs. The goal is also 15% for WBEs, and 13% was achieved on awards, and 11% on payments. The 6% goal for SDVOBs, we still have a challenge in that. It was 0.5% in awards and about 1% in payments made on ongoing contracts. Next item is financial services, and I believe Patrick is here.
Good afternoon. Just really quickly, for the period, we've achieved approximately MWBE participation, and actual fees paid was approximately 27%. With SDVOB participation and fees paid was 6.01% or 6%, for a total of approximately 33% between MWB and SDVOB fees paid. And I just want to note just quickly, fees paid is a representation of how we issue bonds. And right now, because of our financial plan, we have actually issued bonds in a different method. We're not issuing a lot of negotiated transactions. We're doing a lot of competitive transactions. And as a result, we're not having as many fees being paid. So even with that, we're still kind of close to where we need to be.
And once again, the finance department has the highest SDVOP percentages of any other operation in the organization.
And started with almost nothing.
Exactly. And there's also a second exercise we wanted to point out in the discretionary program that we have. There's been 433 assignments totaling $83 million, and all of that was awarded to MWBEs. And that's also a testament to the leadership of the BSC, David Ross and Christine Norman, who's sitting here.
Is there anything else?
Yes. For asset fund managers, as of November 30th, 2018, $1 billion being managed in assets, 15% or 15% by MWBE firms. I just want to add that these figures are as of November 30th. After the book went to print, we did receive the December figures, and it's still 1 billion, and it's slightly downwards to 14% now. It's about the same.
If there's nothing else,
Actually, there is. We have the charter of the diversity committee in the book. This is in advance of the corporate governance committee, which will meet next month. So the charter is presented for your review. There are no changes recommended. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the police chief. In my years of service, I've had the pleasure of working with the women and men in uniform. I must say that I was always impressed by their dedication, professionalism, and service. I think we all feel safe knowing that they stand watch.
And great, but last but not least, I wanted to introduce to some Dr. Rosalind Green, who is currently working at Capital CC, and she comes to us via transportation agencies and authorities in Dallas and in Atlanta. And she has a lot of hands-on experience in dealing with the FTA, which is going to come in handy because the FTA will be here over the next month or two conducting their triennial review. So Dr. Rosalind Green.
welcome. We're happy that you arrived just in time.
Thank you.
Well, hearing nothing else, I move to adjourn. We're in unanimous favor of such. Thank you. We'll see you in May.